We went. Hello. Welcome. Wednesday night reclamation. Still no idea what I'm doing with myself. Um no announcements? Nothing new to mention. We're just gonna get right back into the drama of last week. Recap. Sam question mark?
Oh, I can do it. I got voluntold. Usually I'm the one voluntelling people. Anyway, in the last session, just before heading to bed, Audie, who definitely doesn't have a crush on Covert, went to go talk to Covert. Uh, Talked to him about Azael, the gnomes, the last mission, about Viren and how he's not doing so well. Audie's going to do something about that later, I'm sure. Then we all got our long rest. Next day, Audie talks to her mom about Alade. They go see him. He'll live, although his arm is permanently severed and there's not a lot we can do about it right now. Sold all of our loot, got a lot of money. Let's see, what else? Roz is getting a +1 grade axe made by Covert, which we all agreed to. It's very nice of everyone. Let's see. Lilith went to the chapter of fire with Audie and Roz and did her whole spiel and got a really high performance roll, and they loved it. Let's see. Lilith is gay and asked Roz on a date, but wasn't able to say that it was a date. So Audie's also invited. Oh yeah, and the Immortal Bastion's back. They're not doing so great. They're dying, cursed, broken, shattered, emotionally scarred for probably all time, and Roz got an offer from an editor to deal with that. Meanwhile, everyone's running off to go try to find someone who's not an editor to deal with that. That's pretty much it.
Hmm. Does anybody have anything they want to add? No? Good. All right. Then we will pick up where we left off, which was Titan, after having successfully completed several surgeries to stabilize the two dying members of the Immortal Bastion. It was brought to light that this black blemish that is tainting their skin appears to be a necrotic curse given to them by the creature that attacked them. And it repels divinity, requiring a need to remove it in order for some of the divine casters here that are strong enough to easily save the lives of those here. However, to remove the curse would require someone of equal skill, but of a different type of magic, which is where many of the members of the party have since run off in varying directions to try to figure out who, if anyone here, could help. So, I'm just gonna kind of reseat ourselves real quick. Where is everybody going?
Roz and Lucilla were going to the chapter of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Audie and Lilith are going to Waycross Company for two
Mm-hmm.
different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Do I assume Titan is staying behind to watch over his patients?
Yeah, that's probably what he'll do.
I mean, you cannot. I don't want to force you into it.
No, that's probably what he'd do.
Okay.
Not to sidetrack too much, but do we know what Corona did in the last day and a half? Day.
Well, Zhao can certainly tell us.
I think she probably would have. Not to backtrack too much, but like I think she probably would have. I mean, she would have rested the remainder. I think not the whole remainder of the day, the remaining half of the day, I guess, once we got back, and then the day after would have been mostly handing off like the scraps to Vanya and probably training for a bit because she probably feels the need to test things out to get more comfortable. She's still new to the whole firearms thing, but otherwise, yeah, that's nothing special. I think that's what she probably would have been doing until all the recent happenings, and
Mhm.
I guess where she would be right now. That's a tough call. I think the places that people are going to feel like they make sense as far as coverage, she might, for the time being, uh, we'll say for the time being, if there's any need for like extra hands and stuff, she'll be staying around the area with where I presume like Titan and the patients are. I'm not sure exactly where this is happening.
In the southern side of the camp, where the orphans refuge, the clerics of the orphan
Okay.
are,
Okay.
that's basically where the camp's hospital is.
Okay. I guess the question is, are there enough like hands passively around for like all the people that are injured?
Yeah,
Is the question.
there are.
Yeah. Okay.
If anything, there aren't enough skilled hands around, aka Titan. If Titan were not here, it is very likely that perhaps one, if not both of them, would have died, because the other surgeon, while trained, is not as competent as Titan. So in that regard, they have hands. Just perhaps none of them or many of them are capable of really aiding in right now.
Okay. That's tough then, because Corona's not trained in medicine either. She just knows like basic first aid stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess she'll tag along. Actually, she'll ask any of the people that are around that aren't Titan because he's got his hands busy. Anyone that doesn't look busy, she'll ask them, "Hey, you need me for you need me to get some word around to anyone in particular?"
It seems as if the thing that we need is a spellcaster of some skill and potential that isn't divine. If you happen to have someone in mind, I would suggest you go and find them.
Okay. I think she will try and maybe in a delayed fashion, she'll head off to find one of the camps and see if she can't find anyone. I'm not sure if she has someone specific in mind. AKA, I might need you to come back to me, but she will be heading
Yeah.
off in a direction to try and find someone.
Okay.
Whether she joins up with someone else or someone finds her or
Yep.
that's up to fate.
Okay. Well, then we'll just say you're in transit.
Sure. Yep.
But in the order of those who will arrive to their respective camps first, it's going to be Roz and Lucilla arriving at the Chapter of Fire as Audie and Lilith pass by the entrance to that camp, heading to Whitecross, who's at the end of the row. So Roz, you and Lucilla, you're moving there at a fast jog. She's got your hand gripped very firmly and has not let it go since she took it back in the hospital camp. When you come into the Chapter of Fire camp, the amount of festivities that were occurring earlier has seemed to have waned a little, perhaps in response to what was going on, as several people probably got up and left to go, rubberneck and see what was going on. That being said, the large central tent still has its two flaps drawn back, in which you can see inside. Mostly now, just the remaining members of the Chapter of Fire still kind of surrounding that large low table, still resting in mounds of pillows with drinks and books and food and hookah abundant, while they're just seemingly uncaring about the situation.
Is Vichar among them?
She is in the exact same spot you left her in.
Well, then that's where Roz is taking Lucilla.
Okay.
Hi. Sorry, I know I was just here. I didn't say a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to ask you, how are you with curses?
A very specific question, to which I have a very specific answer. I'm capable of breaking them, but usually at a cost to the person the curse has a hold on. My magic comes from primordial fire. I have to burn the curse away.
All right. Just gonna look at Lucilla. Like, so that's an option. We can have it burned off.
If it'll save their lives, I don't think, I think it's a worthwhile consideration. Better they alive than dead.
All right. Do you want to go for that option right away, or do you want to go shop around a bit? Because I'm pretty sure they're not going to do it for free.
We really have time to think about this, Roz?
I have no idea. I don't know much about medicine at all.
I guess we figure out what the price is and if we can afford it.
All right. Ma'am, milady, Miss Vichara,
Mm-hmm.
the entirety of the Immortal Bastion is cursed, and they need help.
And you require me to go break the curse. Is that the sum of this whole situation?
I need someone, and you were the first person to come to mind.
Well, given everything I've heard, it's not as if you have a ton of time to wait for me to deliberate on this. But as you've rightly surmised, I am not likely to just do this for nothing. But you've had a colleague interact with me already. You know, pieces of long forgotten. And she looks up from her seat. Young priestess, I'm sure you have something along those lines that you can give to me. Something you and your brother have kept a secret from many people for a long time. And there is a moment, Roz, where you can see Lucilla has to contemplate. She isn't taken aback. She's just considering, and to say that much is to consider what the weight of that secret could be, given the circumstances.
I think Roz is going to give Lucilla's hand a nice firm squeeze and say, "Is keeping a secret worth your brother's life and the life of all your friends?"
No, not really. Give up anything to keep him alive. Vitrara, if that's what you need, then consider it a deal. I'll tell you everything.
Okay. So you'll come help us then?
I'll prepare and meet you all down in the southern camp.
Right. Thank you.
Should we go catch up to Melody and Lilith to see if they've had any other luck?
I think so, yes. Let's go.
Okay. Speaking of Lilith, Melody, You've arrived at the White Cross Company camp. It is business as usual here. The two sentries will see you approach. Both give you a nod, given that they both recognize you pretty well by now. And it is of the point where you know, now that you are more or less allowed entry without them having to stop you, you can just inquire of them should you require a certain member of White Cross instead.
Lilith will go up kind of from her somewhat fast jog she was doing. Is Bandit available? There's an emergency in camp.
Bandit is on the training grounds, ma'am. On the far side.
Right, thanks. She's
Mhm.
gonna run off.
Okay. Melody, where you going?
She would probably be a little bit behind Lilith. And I guess, yeah, whoever's at the front is, is Sergeant Sky unarmed?
Sergeant Sky is currently out on patrol.
Out on patrol, I mean, out on a mission? Or out?
Camp patrol. One of the border watchers.
Would you say that he's your best, non-divine caster and non-divine magic person? I say it's who's Bandit told me to train under, but and she's clearly kind of a bit shaken up.
You see the sentry consider for a moment. Other than Bandit, Sergeant Sky is the strongest spellcaster we have in our company currently at this camp. If that's what you're looking for, I would suggest going to find him.
Right, well, somebody needs to trade out with him, or can I just take him on his post?
We'll send someone along. He's on the northeastern patrol.
Thank you kindly. And Audie will take off at a trot. I mean, probably as fast as a run as she can, but
Mhm.
tiny legs.
Mhm. Okay. Audie turns around and zips off. Meanwhile, Lilith, you're crossing through the training grounds. A thing not unfamiliar to you. You pass by a handful of groups of people, in pitched training with various other members of White Company. A lot of the newer mercenaries that have formed groups recently here training. Members of White Cross Company just keeping each other honed and ready. You do find Bandit on the far side, where currently he is seeming to speak to a small group of White Cross Company members, about 5 or 6. They're all standing there. They're in various forms of dress and armor with various weapons, like they've just finished a skirmish. But Bandit will clock you, running up pretty easily, and you'll see as you get nearer, he'll dismiss himself, and just step off to the side when you get close enough to approach. Lilith, it's good to see you.
Same. There's something bad going on. The Immortal Bastion just got back, and they're in really bad shape.
Is there anything I can do?
They've all been cursed, but something about the curse makes it so divine magic can't affect them. Do you know any arcane or primal casters that might be able to help?
Within the ranks of White Cross that are present, Sergeant Sky is the strongest arcane caster we have. But I do believe there are a few others in the camp that could qualify as well, should you be willing to go speak with them.
I think the more the better in this case.
Very well. Vitrara of the Chapter of Fire is an extremely powerful primal caster. She might qualify. As much as I would advise against it, desperate times do call for desperate measures. There are several powerful arcane casters amongst the tyrants. Likewise, I do believe the Ivory Lady of the Seductress is similarly inclined.
I think we've already got most of your better suggestions covered. I'll head back, see what luck anyone else had, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe go to the seductress if they haven't. If you're not busy, I believe you're skilled in regular medicine, right? Titan might need a hand. They're pretty beat up.
He's already walking. I'll head that way now to help extend the time that we have to the best of my abilities.
Thanks a bunch. She's just gonna sprint off ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna quickly hop back to Corona. Zhao, have you figured out where Corona might be running off to?
Sure. Just to make things interesting.
Go on.
I think like halfway through her sprint or jog or whatever, she probably remembers, though she has no confirmation of it. Thalman. I mean, he had a staff and everything after all from the tyrants.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to, or he's probably the only guy she would think of from there. So she's probably not gonna second guess herself too much, especially since time is of the essence here. And she'll make her way over towards where the tyrants are and see if she can't find them.
Okay. As is almost always the case, when you arrive to the tyrants' camp, there are two of the tyrants currently sparring. Tatiana is perched up nearby, observing, with a somewhat vicious grin on her face. She seems to enjoy watching these sorts of fights, especially since the tyrants spar nearly to death. That being said, you're perceptive enough to know that the tyrants don't often wander the camp. So even though these are the only three that are readily available in sight, you suspect if you were brave enough to ask, there might be a way to find Thalman amongst the tyrants here.
Okay. Yeah. She went around the perimeter last time, so I think she's going to do that. She's not even going to try and wait for their spar to finish because she knows it won't. So even if she gets nicked, she'll grin and bear it. And Tatiana probably looks like she's the one that's ultimately in charge. I don't think Corona's ever seen her though.
Undisputedly.
Yeah.
Walking into the tyrants' camp when Tatiana is present is like walking literally into the lion's den. She is at the top. All the other tents and everything seem to be fanned out around her to elevate her. There's just an obvious sense of this person is extremely dangerous and extremely powerful.
Okay. Well, yeah, she's going to do just that. She's gonna try and run and get as close enough as she can. Maybe towards Tatiana. I mean, she's obviously gonna garner the attention of her, one way or the other. So, yeah, but she's not willing to wait for these guys to finish their spar.
Okay. Just make me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. And just to double check, because I haven't updated my HP or anything, we did get a long rest, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Just we do that, and then cool. Dex save. Oh well.
Wow,
Okay.
really good.
Good start. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you take your first tentative steps into the camp. You see these two tyrants sparring. One of which battles with a very interesting weapon, which looks like a whip made out of double-sided knives. It's about 15 feet long, and they use it to wrap themselves in it while constantly moving to protect themselves, and then also use it as a slashing weapon. But then at the occasional flick of the wrist, they'll send a flurry of the dagger blades elsewhere to attempt to attack their target, and then they'll zip back to the whip after a different flourish is done. And as they're currently engaged, it is one of these flurries of daggers that basically stud the ground in a line where Corona was, as you kind of tumble forward to avoid the rain of steel. But you're on the
Trying to hit me.
yeah you're on the other side of the sparring grounds. So you're technically now within the heart of the tyrant's camp.
Okay. Yeah, she'll tumble and then waste no time to get back up just because she might as well treat this like an active battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess at that point I suppose she's close enough to probably talk with Tatiana,
Mm-hmm.
or at least make eye contact with her, so she will. And she's going to say, sorry for the entrance, but you wouldn't happen to be Tatiana, would you?
Indeed, I am. What can I do for another proud member of Green?
Well, no time to waste here. There's people from another group that just came back. They're cursed. You got anyone in your group that might be able to deal with them?
Curse breaking. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. We have somebody whose specialty is in curses.
Well, name your price.
Are you in a position to make such a statement?
No, but we don't really got time. If you're willing to, would you be willing to lend them to me for a second? I got others looking for other people as well, so I don't want to spend willy-nilly if I don't have to.
Of course. You see, as your friend Roz found out, I am not a nice person. And it is not a matter of doing something for free. I have but a question to ask.
Corona's listening.
Did the people who need these curses broken earn them in battle?
I don't know the details, but I presume so.
And if they don't overcome them, are they going to perish?
I would also assume that's true, yes.
Then that is simply how it should be.
All right. Well, then I won't waste your time anymore.
Appreciated.
Corona is not going to bow or anything. She's just going to try and run through the battlefield once again and get on out of there.
Yeah. This time make a strength save.
Okay. Cool.
Wow, Corona killing it today.
Apparently.
Yeah, this time on your way out, there's a large section of the training ground that gets upheaved and thrown. And you basically have to partially catch a small boulder to stop it from hurting you on the way out.
Makes sense to me.
If you were to catch a glance of Tatiana on the way out, you would see a small grin on her face.
She's gonna pay it no mind for now. She's slow on the uptake with trying to get someone, and she can only hope that her friends are more successful. So She's probably going to at this point just leave the camp and I suppose maybe she's going to circle back to go see how others are doing, and if not, she'll go back to running and trying to find someone.
Okay.
Because she's not going to keep trying to gather people and then find out that the problem is taken
You
care
have
of.
someone. Yeah.
So.
Which is to say, there's a little bit of an intersection that occurs between, for the sake of keeping things simple, between Lilith, Corona, Lucilla, and Roswin. As you're all sort of respectively leaving from your camps in which you've required news, you kind of run into each other on the way out.
Hi. Any luck?
Not on my end, not with the tyrants, no.
You went to the tyrants?
Yeah. There's one
Yeah,
guy I
right.
thought. Yeah, I met with that Tatiana lady.
Mm-hmm. And
Long
I'm not
and-
going to say anything bad about her right now, even though I want to.
Well, I could cover that for you, but point being, she doesn't think she could provide the help because of the context of how they got their curses. Any luck for you?
Yes, Vitrara has agreed to help, although it's probably going to leave all of our victims badly scarred.
Better scarred than alive, I'd say. Or actually, hold on. Sorry, I'm still like waking up from that. Better scarred than dead, rather. Big asterisk there. Took me a second. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Bandit on his way to help do what he can. He also pointed me towards the Ivory Seductress as an option, and I think Adi ran off to go fetch somebody who might be able to help as well.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's wait on Adi then, shall we?
Sure.
And where are all of you going to wait for Adi?
Is Adi still within the White Cross camp?
No. Adi got to the entrance and then basically immediately turn around. So she is beyond the row of merc camps that you guys are currently in.
Does anybody know where Adi went?
Nah, I was a bit slow.
Well,
Wish
she
it
was
one
with
of
you.
It's Miss Whittlewolf have heard their conversation before she took off.
Make a perception check. Let's see what you heard.
That's a 9.
You heard Adi inquiring about a member of White Cross, but you didn't catch any details further than that. You were at a pretty pitched run.
I didn't catch it. Didn't see her in camp though, so maybe she went somewhere else.
All right. Well, no idea where she is then, but we've got a lead that's to the Ivory Seductress, right? So, okay. I'm going to the Ivory Seductress. I'm going to turn toward Lucilla. You don't have to come.
I wouldn't feel right having you go to a place where you're asking for help on my behalf without being there.
I'm not certain you're going to feel right in there regardless.
Lead the way, Roz.
Yes, ma'am. Right away.
I'll
Take
go
off.
with you. Just don't have anything else to do.
Nah, might get crowded in there. I'll go back to the dock and let them know that there's people coming at least.
All right. Let him know. Thank you.
Okay. So you're all going to head towards the center camp. Corona, you're going to head south towards the hospital camp. Versus Roz, Lucilla, and Lilith, you're going to head north to the Seductress. honestly not too far. But in the meantime, Melody, who was trotting her little legs off, you head outside the camp's boundaries, to the where the rough ring of patrols often are, just beyond where all the craftsmen have set up. You can see where there are various guards and mercenaries kind of dotting along the exterior to give you an idea as to what the perimeter looks like. But big camp, big perimeter. You can make me a perception check or survival check to try to find where Sergeant Sky might be.
Thing I probably want, you said perception or survival?
Yep.
Let's do some perception. Sorry, I'll bring my mic a little closer. Boy, is she just in a tizzy. That's an 8.
Yeah, you head over to that side of the camp and you walk along the outer ring, looking for the familiar face of the elven mage. And no luck thus far. You were told he's somewhere on the northeastern side of the patrol wall for the camp, so
Does she
might take a little walk.
anybody else around?
There are a couple of other mercs. There's a handful of guards every so often.
Okay. Yeah, then she would probably kind of run up to pretty much anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The rounds the White Cross Company. I'm looking for Sergeant Sky. You seen him?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand anything you just said. Can you speak up?
White Cross Company. Oh. And she's gonna message. I said White Cross Company. Sergeant Sky. Where is he? Do you know him?
The frilly elf. I think he's got the next patrol spot 2 or so spots down. And you see the guy look over at the other 2 that he's with, and you see them sort of like hum and haw, like they're not entirely sure, but then they kind of all agree. Yeah, just go that way.
Right. Yeah, and she's gonna run off that way.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of trusting them right now.
Mm-hmm. So you continue running. Just like before, make me another perception or survival check.
Okay. Oh boy, that was some great advice. That's a 22.
Oh, okay. What did you roll for the record?
I rolled a 19.
What skill?
Oh, perception. Sorry.
Okay. All right, yeah, so you head in that direction, you run for a couple of minutes. And you maybe realize immediately why you didn't see him when you first came out here, because you weren't thinking where Sky might be. However, you know about Sky's particular brand of magic, which is when you're running in that direction, you don't actually even get to his patrol area before you see him, because he is up on a high tree branch on the edge of the forest that overlooks the camp. He's about some 80 feet up.
Okay. Well, being 80 feet up, kind of, let me double check. Oh, it's 120 feet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, as she's getting closer, she's gonna be, calling out, Sky, Sky, I need your help.
Okay, Melody, what's the problem? And like as he's responding to you in the message, he leaps down off the branch and descends and kind of lands in front of you in a gust of wind and grass and leaves.
Okay. Yeah, if he's close enough to hear her, then she's the Immortal Bastion. They came back, but they look awful. They've been cursed, and they don't believe that anything divine can help them. So, they had us to go look for people that don't use divine. And you're the first that came to mind.
He's already taking you by the shoulder and turning you around to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. I'm
break a curse.
unfortunately not specialized in it. But if I have a requisite scroll, I can sure give it a try.
With a scroll, how many can it help? Just the one, I guess.
One person per scroll, yeah. And as much as we have materials for whatever the particular curse is as well.
All right, well, I guess you need to see what's going on then first.
Correct.
And she starts off at a trot, basically like this way, because she figures he's following.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he's going to, again, tap you on the shoulder again, and you're both going to begin running faster as he chants a spell under his breath and your movement speed increases.
Marvelous. Because mixed in with all of the fear and trepidation and, oh no, people might die from this, Body's like, this is something I could do? This is a possibility? She's excited.
But this is a learning experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sky and Melody are running back. We're gonna cut over back to Roz and Lilith and Lucilla, who are going into the Seductress. As every time as before, now a somewhat familiar entry. You pass through the threshold of the tent, kind of going through that thickness that lets you pass through into the darkened interior, dimly illuminated by the ice blue lights, of which you see before you the pale-skinned, silver-haired Valweir standing behind the podium, as always.
Valweir, hi.
Yes. How can I help?
To the madam of the house as soon as possible.
You see a small eyebrow quirk. I assume this is an emergency.
Matter of life or death for the entire Immortal Bastion, yes.
Very well, give me a moment.
Right.
And he steps beyond the curtain on the right. And you're left there for a very pregnant moment, just kind of waiting.
Just has to finish up with somebody, probably. Or finish somebody, or I'm not sure.
Lucilla seems completely ignorant to your comments, but her hand squeezes your hand tighter. Like, it gets progressively, the grip gets stronger as more time passes.
I just make jokes when I'm nervous, don't mind me.
After a very long moment, at least what it felt like a very long moment, probably no more than a minute or two, Valweir steps back through. But instead of completely exiting the threshold, he will then pull aside the dark blood red curtain on the left side. If you all would please step through, the lady will see you.
Right away, thank you. Step on through.
Mm-hmm. One after the other, you each pass through, eventually exiting into the somewhat familiar lounge in which the Lady of the Ivory Seductress is often found. She, as many times, is curled up in a corner of the couch, wrapped in numerous blankets of blacks and reds and whites. There's a tray of fruit neatly cut next to her, and she's currently reading a book with a pair of, gold rectangular spectacles on her nose. You step through, and she has a moment where she looks over the glasses and then puts the book down in her lap. Ladies, I was told you were coming. An emergency, yes. How can I service you today?
Right. Ignoring that. The Immortal Bastion just got back from their mission, and they are all badly hurt and cursed, and we were told that you might be able to help us with that.
I do have a certain way of somebody to break curses. That is always the rub, isn't it?
Again, coming back to that later. What is the rub?
Will they die without my help?
They will die without someone's help. So, possibly.
Very well. Allow me to send somebody to help, and we will discuss the price later. Lest we lose one of them.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Important note: divine magic won't work.
Not a concern. Thank you for the note, though. If you head along, I will send somebody to help. I'm assuming at the hospital camp to the south?
That's right.
Very good.
Right. Thank you. Won't take any more of your time.
As you're, quickly probably expediting a bunch of, respect-based greetings and farewells, there's a moment where you just see Rieslin look at Lucilla, and she just gives her a very sympathetic smile, and you just, in a light couple of words, just, I do hope your family pulls through, young one. You feel Lucilla's grip tighten again, but she then shoos you out. Valware will similarly take you and spin you all around, basically, and lead you back out the way you came.
Right. Well, 2 options. That's good. And bandits go in there to help stabilize them in the meantime. We're gonna save them, all right?
Yeah. Certainly a lot more help than I thought we were going to have.
I don't have any more ideas. I think we should get back now.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Yes, ma'am, right away.
Okay, so we now have several people converging on the orphan's refuge camp, the southern side of the camp. Titan, you're there, being the good doctor, keeping an eye on the 2 surgical patients. They've stayed stable, thankfully. The other members of the Bastion are being tended to, various, light wounds here or there. All of them, as mentioned, are decidedly cursed. Over the course of that time, because it was inquired of, several teeth are presented from one of the members of the Bastion. The orcish fellow essentially pulls out a sack, and there are 4 dagger-sized teeth that he claims to be from the creature that they fought.
Yeah, Titans. So, thank you. This will be helpful in removing the curse.
Do what you have to.
It nods. It may also be useful. I mean, if you feel you have the strength to take it, if I could get a sample of your cursed flesh.
He just offers up his arm, which for him is the curse is his right arm across his chest. He just puts it out without hesitation.
Titan will cut like a small piece off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. His resolve is just as unwavering as his certainty in offering it to you. He grits his teeth and bears it, but doesn't make a noise.
Thanks. I'm gonna get studying right away. And he just leaves.
Yeah. Of course.
Anything.
Nope. That's expected. you're gonna study a bit of the flesh to better understand the curse. I take it.
That's the plan.
Okay. You're free to make an Arcana check or a Religion check.
Okay. I'll do an Arcana this time. 15.
Okay. It is a complex and dangerous curse. Because it does a lot more than just on the surface of what's been told, which is repelling divine magic.
Yeah.
You feel like you would need a little bit more time to better understand. There are a couple of tests you think you could run if you had more than an hour's time to better understand what it can do. But just at a cursory glance, it doesn't seem to spread. It seems to have infected a location and settled in.
Okay.
But this type of curse is not just on the physical level. It isn't. It is on a there's a word I just can't pull. It is attached to the building blocks of the person. It is attached to the creationary elements of the people that it's cursed. And so hypothetically, you could not cut this out of somebody, even though it only rests in a certain part of them.
Well, that is very useful information.
Well, you've had that short study time prior to everyone else running their way in like a gaggle of geese. There is one other development that occurs right around the time before everyone gets back, which is most of the Bastion members that are air quotes healthy are together. They've all been disarmed and disarmored. Several of them have, like I said, basic wounds and things being treated. They're now mostly bandaged, all the superficial stuff. But it is interesting because word will reach you that Lucius, Lucilla's brother, his curse has been broken. His infected spots across his body all seem to have left.
Well, that is indeed news. Yeah, Titan's gonna go talk to him.
Yeah. He's there at one of the long open tents with the other members of the Bastion. They're just sort of quietly talking amongst themselves.
Hey, I heard rumors that your curse has left you.
He will stand up and then sort of like present his arms out and then do a spin for you to observe. And his skin is unblemished. He doesn't even have scars from the wounds that he came in with.
Well, I mean, one must ask, do you know how you did this?
In short, yes. This is a blessing I was born with.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to pry into anything you don't want to share, but is there anything useful you could give me to help the others?
If I knew this was attached to a part of me, something that I could actively give to others, I would. But I don't understand it well enough to have a concept of what that is. But if you know anything about the Valasai, that is the blessing I speak of. You're free to make a religion or a history check if you'd like.
Let's see what we know about the Valasai. Oh, much better. We're going 21 religion.
Okay. First and foremost, the country of Valis fell about 50 some odd years ago. There was quite a bit of internal strife, along with a resurgence of an ancient enemy they once faced, and the country crumbled. The Valasai paladins that were responsible for the defense of the country that had it last seemingly since the creation war is how far back the history claims, is that the paladins, when they were born with a spark of one of the four hands of creation, specifically the now defunct Prime Soul, which is what made them essentially defy the expectations placed on other mortals. It made them extremely strong, resilient, resistant to all kinds of magic and curses and poisons and diseases, along with essentially amplifying their potential to leagues far beyond what most normal mortals could be born with. But the reason why Valis fell, researchers have shown, is that fewer and fewer paladins were born after the Prime Soul, one of the hands of creation, was absorbed into Janardan to help facilitate the control over death. And so the era of the Valasai Paladin, the impenetrable defense that once protected them, was no longer. As a matter of fact, there's a very good chance, based off of the knowledge you have about that, and Lucius's rough age, he might have been the last to be born.
That is interesting. Then yeah, Titans. It's difficult, but it seems you may be the last born of your kind. Not many left with the spark of the primordial soul.
That's my understanding as well.
Well, unfortunately, that does mean that there's not much I can do about it in current circumstances. This seems unique to you.
He nods, and you just see in his body language just acceptance. Like, this is something he kind of already knew.
Yeah. I mean, worst comes to worst, we could always supplicate to Janardan for help or information, but the gods are a lot more silent these days than they were when I was young.
It's not often they respond at all anymore. For those that are still around.
Titan nods. Yes, it can be lonely. Nevertheless, it's good to know, at least, some information. Every little bit helps.
Well, if that's all, I won't keep you here any longer. Go tend to my brother and sister, please.
Absolutely. I'll keep him alive as long as I can. Let's just hope somebody can lift this curse soon.
Speaking of which, Corona, you're the first back to arrive.
Yeah, I think her target is Titan, so she's probably gonna be conveniently just now jogging up to around where you guys are, and she's gonna just say, Doc, I got good news. Should be having visitors, people that can break the curse.
Well, that is good news. Who'd you get?
Well, we got someone from Flames again. As far as I can tell, Melody's off looking for people as well. I'm not sure on the specifics, but we got people, we got options. and they all seem pretty confident in being able to take the curse out. And she'll look over to Lucilius and she'll just kind of say out loud, "You can barely tell that you've been cursed. Not to say that you look fine, but
Because I'm no longer cursed.
what?
It is a gift I have. Unfortunately, one that cannot be shared.
Oh, well, shoot. That's, is this new, or did I just miss the memo?
Not
The-
many people in this camp know what I'm really capable of.
Oh, I don't mean what you're capable of, but I was under the impression so many people came back cursed. That's,
The rest of my family still bears the curse. And he'll just step off to the side and sort of gesture into the tent behind him, where you can see the other, slightly less than a dozen Immortal Bastion members who were just bespeckled with,
actually,
this dark necrotic energy.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful we'll get things sorted out. Might be a little costly, but that's fine. I think it's no price can cover a life. So let's hope for the best. And well, I think your sister will be glad to know that you're okay, big guy. If nothing else.
Hmm.
She looked pretty worried. You could probably guess.
Hopefully this turns out better.
Right.
It'll be lonely for the rest of our family to die just for us to survive.
Not gonna let that happen. Anyway, do you need help with anything, Doc? I mostly just came by to pass on the info. They shouldn't be too long.
At this point where you've bandaged and done everything we can, aside from lifting the curse, I think we're okay for helping hands.
All right. In that case, I'll try and be useful somehow. Maybe I'll just wait and let others know. That way we can direct who we need to real quick here.
It nods. Yeah, just leave the call to him and his sister, and whoever comes in to help with the curse, or all of them, I don't care. Just, I'll step aside when the time's ready.
All right, we'll do. She'll give a nod to both Titan and to Lucilius, and
Mm-hmm.
then just kind of, make her way to let those that need to know as well
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, big group coming in pretty soon. So
Yep.
yeah,
On the back of this conversation, Bandit comes jogging in. And pretty sprightly for Doreen his age. He immediately approaches you, Titan. I was told I might be of assistance here.
Yeah, I mean, most minor injuries are tended to, but there's a man in here. Was it a man? Was it a woman with the brain injury?
A woman.
The woman. There's a woman in here with a brain injury. I'm afraid I don't have all the skill needed to tend to such a thing.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's much that either you or I could do about this. But I did come prepared just in case. And he hoists up a small satchel filled with a couple of scroll tubes.
Height nods. That's good. Anything we can do now will help, but if you can aid her after the curse is lifted, that would also be of great help.
He'll nod. Let us go see how they are.
Titan will lead Bandit into the tent with the worst of the people.
Let me get the order of things in my head real quick. We're going to have Roz, Lucilla, and Lilith show up next. Of which, once you're kind of in the camp, you can sort of take stock of everything that's happened. You can see Titan and Bandit are overseeing the two members of the Immortal Bastion that are mortally wounded. You can see the other members in the long tent, kind of, huddled together, close, talking, of which it will become more clear the longer you're in the camp that Lucius is no longer cursed.
Somebody already got here. Brother looks all right.
He was never the one I was worried about.
Spot of good news. I'll take it.
He has a way about him with these sorts of things. It's usually just a matter of time.
I try not to pry too much, but I'll admit that I'm curious.
We can talk about it later.
Yes, ma'am. For now, just be where you want to be, I suppose. We've got a little waiting to do. Our part is done.
Assuming either of you go somewhere else, Lucilla will essentially have a couple of stools brought out in front of the tent where the two mortally wounded members are, and she'll just sort of sit there, waiting to see who else shows up, waiting to see the hopeful change.
That depends. What time is it in the world?
Good question. 2:50, pushing 3 o'clock.
Cool, no problem. Then Roz will sit with Lucilla.
Lilith, what about you? Same put, going somewhere?
I think she feels she's done just about everything she can, so she's going to just step out, be within shouting distance, but kind of just off, out of the way.
Lilith, before you go, if you decide to leave or whatever, I'll see you at the Daisy at 6, all right? Wouldn't miss it.
All right, see you there.
Yay. Gonna try not to be too obvious. I'm just gonna go back to her. All right, see you there.
She'll give Lucilla kind of like a sympathetic smile and a wave as she goes off.
The next to arrive aided via magic, there we go, is Melody and Sergeant Sky, who come in with a small whirlwind gust behind them. Lead the way, Melody, wherever you need me to be.
Yeah, and I suppose without ceremony, she'll go find Titan. I think it was Titan who was asking for magic users, right?
Basically. Of which, again, easy enough to locate in the tent with the critical patients. Of which you will also notice Bandit present.
Yeah, I don't know much about what's going on, but Titan should be able to, and a bandit's here now, so do you need to fetch anything first?
I think...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I'm done.
Oh, fine. I was going
Since, yeah, for the record, she probably would have been looking at Sky because he had talked about the spell scrolls.
Lady Melody, I think your finding Sergeant Sky is more than enough help. As I anticipated, I've brought the spell scrolls that we had available to us. And he'll gesture to a satchel sitting on a chair in the corner of the tent. And then Sky will look at you, Melody. All right. These are all the things that I need. Do we have the components for the curse? Something a part of the curse itself?
We've got teeth from the monster that caused it.
Should be sufficient. How many do we have? How many opportunities do we have?
I'll just open the bag of teeth. We had like 13 or something, didn't we?
No, there are 4.
There are 4.
There are
mistake. I
4.
thought there was more.
No. I said they're dagger sized, and there's 4 of them.
4 of them. Just these 4, I'm afraid.
I could attempt the curse breaking, but to fail means losing a material. If you have other, more competent spellcasters coming, I would probably recommend waiting for them. If time is of the essence, I'm more than willing to do it now.
I don't know. How are the patients looking?
Great question. Make a medicine check. With advantage, because Bandit's here.
Well, it's a good thing Bandit was here. It saves me from that nat 1. 18.
Okay. They are still both stable. Clearly one of them will probably not survive without receiving some sort of magical healing. The one with the brain injury is very likely to not live out the day, let alone recover any semblance of life, really, without aid. So the curse being broken is super important. But you think both of them have a couple of hours where direct intervention is not necessary yet.
Okay.
Assuming nothing happens.
I think we've got a bit of time. See who else arrives.
All right. I'll stay on standby. Bandit, just call me whenever should my help be needed. I'll do that, Sergeant. Thank you. And Sky excuses himself. And we'll kind of post up in a spot in the camp. Next to arrive is a red-tinged skin failing woman. Dressed in robes trimmed in shimmering gold and orange. Vitrara of the Chapter of Fire. She will stride into the tent without having addressed anybody, clearly able to read the situation well enough to know this is where the problems, the biggest of, lie. Titan, Bandit, I've come on request of some of your fellows. Allow me to speak plainly about my abilities in this situation. Is that I can remove these curses from these two and the others, but it will come at a cost to them. My magic is directly linked to the previous Archon of Ash. You will essentially trade part of their life for me to break it. which is to say, for these two in particular, there is no guarantee they would survive. The ones that are more healthy could very likely endure it.
Well, as I've said before, I leave it up to the two leaders to decide who's helping and how they're helping. It's not my call to make. Personally, I'd love to see you work.
I will wait for a time, but I will not wait forever. Let me know when a decision is made.
Right nods. I'll let them know.
Rajaro steps out of the tent, passing by where Lucilla and Raz are. Raz, out of all these people, who do you think we should trust to help?
I think that based on what I just heard in there, promise I'm not eavesdropping. Based on what I just heard, and based on working with the Chapter of Fire once before at least, I think they're fairly profit motivated. But they're effective, and they'll do what they're paid to do. The White Cross wants to help, and they wouldn't take anything out of you, but they might fail. My recommendation right now would be have Vajrara help the people who are walking and see if the person coming from the seductress can help the ones who she'd kill by trying to help.
Okay. I'll go talk to my brother.
Right.
See what he has to say.
I'll be right here.
Mm-hmm. And she gets up, and for a moment, still holding onto your hand, takes a deep breath, and then lets go. He strolls over to the tent that's not too far away to speak to her brother. And you sort of observe the first thing that happens is that they embrace each other. But then there's a very clear conversation that is had, of which at first is just between the two of them, but then it is immediately opened up to the remaining members of the Immortals. And they all have a frank discussion. During that time, while people are waiting on bated breath, the last aid to help arrives. Except, no one in the party notices them. They arrive like a cool breeze coming off of the ocean. They seem to step behind through people's shadows, moving from one location to the next, until eventually they're standing just within the shadow that the entrance to the tent where the two critical patients is cast. This person is standing no more than 2 or 3 feet away from you, Roz, and you don't even notice their presence. It is only when, finally, inside the tent, Titan, you'll see Bandit turn around. It seems as if we have another guest. And then both of you will notice that there is a tall, slender figure dressed entirely in black, wearing a long, heavy cloak with a hood up, trimmed in the crimson red of the Ivory Seductress. They have a face mask that covers up to their nose, and the hood seems to have some sort of protective magic that enshrouds their face in the dark mist. There are no discernible features of this person that is viewable.
Roz makes a noise, falls out of her stool. Where'd you come from?
The Seductress.
Okay. In there.
And they take one step into the tent. Our Lady Riesland has asked that I come help. Do you have a sample?
Situation. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I took a sample here and hands it over.
Thank
He's
you.
able to garner and explains what he's been able to learn. Which wasn't much, but a little bit.
They will step off to the side where there's a little bit of free space, pull out a folded piece of parchment from within their cloak, unfurl it, and then very carefully you'll see them pull out a small vial of sloshing red liquid, very clearly blood. They'll unstopper it, and with the tip of one of their gloved fingers begin drawing a series of circles around on the parchment, and then they'll put that piece of flesh in the middle. They'll put the palm of their hand on the corner of one of the circles they've drawn, and you'll hear them begin whispering words under their breath, and you'll see magic begin to channel into the paper, filling the lines of the blood-scrawled magic circle that they've drawn. Eventually, all of it coalescing towards the center, where the piece of flesh is, and it glows very brightly, white hot, and then cooling to a icy blue. And when the magical light finally dissipates, the thing that is left is just a piece of flesh. Orcish flesh, but flesh. I believe I can be of assistance.
Perfect. I believe that they're currently discussing who they'd like to have help them. I can go let them know that you've arrived and you believe you can aid them.
That is fine. Do you have the materials for the curse?
Yes, we have 4 teeth.
That will have to suffice. Thank you.
And Titan will step out of the tent and let the brother and sister know. He saw and then what he knows of, and let them make their choice.
There's quick deliberation, but not very long, 15, 20 seconds at most, and Lucilla and Lucius turn back to face you, Titan. Lucilla just goes, have the person from the Seductress do whatever they can with the materials that we have. I tell them to do their best to try to save the 2 in the tent. We'll make more decisions from there.
Then Titan will go in and let the person let them know that they can get to work.
Okay. And they do. They ask that both you and Bandit remain in the tent should an emergency arise.
Oblige.
And then they also use you as hands to help facilitate the beginnings of their ritual, because they have to lay them onto a cloth that they've brought with them. And they begin going through similarly what you just watched with the parchment, but now in much more intricate detail, another blood ritual, magic circles drawn with blood that they pull from vials within their cloak. It takes approximately 15 minutes for the first circle to get done. And I'm assuming priority would have been given to the one with the brain trauma.
Yes.
So that is the one that...
Their healing to kick in the most.
Yeah. That is the one that is started with first. Like I said, it takes about 15 minutes going through their various scrawls, the circles becoming ever more intricate, several interlocking ones. And they end standing at the foot of the patient's cot, holding the tooth in their hand, and then just sort of with a very gentle flick of the wrist, the tooth just begins floating out into open air until it is hovering above roughly the midsection of the person. And then with both hands, they begin scrawling in arcane runes in the air in this icy blue magic. And it takes them about a minute to properly cast the spell from start to finish. And you watch as the tooth begins glowing. And then as it comes to a point of where you can no longer recognize what is underneath, it begins to disintegrate. And the magic circles of blood likewise glow to a bit of a climax where the tent just sort of flashes in a burst of light. Allow me to roll the check. Hot diggity dog, that is a natural 18. That's really good.
Hooray.
As the light dissipates, everyone's vision slowly recovers. The initial signs of Breika, the Aurea woman, the woman with the brain trauma, the obvious spots of the curse that had plastered itself across her body, have all vanished. Her status hasn't changed, but the curse is gone.
Then Titan will just nod to Bandit. Do what you can for her. I'll double my efforts to help with this next one.
You see Bandit nod. And he kneels next to the table, and he pulls out a holy symbol from underneath his armor. And he clutches it in both hands, and he begins praying. And this mysterious figure begins working on the second one. Same as before, several vials of blood to draw intricate runes and circles across the sheets and over top of the body of the strawberry blonde-haired human here. Takes approximately 15 minutes, to which they extract another claw. Just like before, throw it out to float into open air, and they chant for a minute in a language that is certainly arcane in nature, one of those various sub-languages used by arcane casters to do things that are not natural or divine. But it is still, now after hearing it a second time, being a little bit closer to Titan, even without making any sorts of checks, you know this is older. A dialect that is not of a modern arcane practice.
Interesting.
And they will cast another spell. The light fills the tent once more, bright and flashing. Your vision is hazy for a moment. Multiple people outside can see the... We're back. We left off as the spell of this mysterious stranger from the seductress has finished casting, as it is dissolving and the results become apparent. And as it resolves and the light dissipates, and everyone's eyes are able to adjust and look at the finer details of Caius, the Bastion member on the table, becomes clear, although there are lingering spots of the curse still yet dissolving, that the spell was successful, although perhaps not as triumphantly so as the first. But with a small bit of time still yet passing, it manages to clear the rest. I succeeded by meeting the DC.
Good enough.
Yeah, so long as it succeeds.
Yeah, well, the first one was like a crushing success, so this one was like, ooh, that was a little close.
Vin Diesel gives a speech about such things.
Doesn't matter if it's by a minute or a mile. First is first.
Yep.
Don't ask me why I can quote the first Fast and the Furious. Actually, that's easy because a lot of it was shot in Miami.
There you go.
Several Fast and the Furious movies were shot in Miami. I would know. My brother worked on those movies.
Oh, really? That is interesting.
Yeah, my brother's really cool like that. Anyway, back on track. The curse lifted. Both patients have had perhaps the most difficult obstacle to the recovery removed. It is partway through this time, perhaps not more immediately noticeable than the somewhat intricate, somewhat interesting casting of our mysterious stranger here, that Bandit has likewise finished a spell, of which he is now currently sitting back, cross-legged on the ground, sweat kind of running off of his features, as there is an obvious, quite powerful regenerative spell cast on Braika, the Oreo woman, and there are small spots on her body that are slowly and very gradually knitting themselves back together.
Thanks for your help.
I was simply doing what I was instructed to. The payment will come.
It nods.
Right. Yeah, of course. Well, I'll go check in with the leaders and see what they plan to do for everybody else that's cursed.
I can remove the curse from 2 others with the remaining fangs.
I'll let them know.
Yeah, Titan will approach.
You step out of the tent, and kind of in a dramatic TV show, several people are kind of gathered in a half circle around the exterior, waiting to hear the news.
Their curse has been lifted, and one of them is in stable condition. The other bandit is still working on, but I suspect he will be able to bring it into stable condition.
There are a couple of quiet cheers, a couple of thanks to deities, and several people hugging and showing affection to one another, pleased that this was the result. Lucilla and Lucius are front and center, quite obviously, sort of waiting to hear what rest you have, if any.
Yep. Titan will approach them.
The person in the tent says they can only cure 2 more using the remaining teeth. If you want to be cured, everybody else needs to be cured. You're going to probably have to cut a deal with Vitrara.
We have heard her offer. let's cure 2 more of our people first, and we'll deliberate.
Very well. It's your call to make. Who are the next 2 you want cured?
And you'll see Lucius look down at Lucilla, some sort of silent communication between the two of them, and then Lucius turns partially around. Then we'll gesture to 2 members of the Bastion. Pamaris, Julia, come up. Right now, we need our strongest to be ready and able to fight. And 2 of the members step up.
All right, you 2, come on into the tent.
And much like before, after a process of another half hour or so, you'll watch 2 more spells cast. See how well these go. Very well. Having those teeth really pays off. And after each instance of casting, this time there is a small adjustment to it, which is because these people are conscious and stable, the caster instead paints the circles on their bodies. And when the spell resolves, you watch as the circles glow with their magic, and then from outwards from there, burn away the curse on their bodies. But both will have their curses lifted.
I missed which 2 that was. It kind of cut out.
Pamaris and Julia.
Titan will look at this figure that's been curing the curses. Thanks again. Not just for the curing, but blood magic is a rare enough gift. It's fascinating to watch it in work.
Do not speak more of it.
Titan holds up his hands.
Very well.
If there's no further need for my assistance, I will depart. And with no word spoken to them, they leave. This time, Titan, you get to watch as they walk towards the tent flap to leave, and as they do, as their hand reaches out to grab, to move, you watch as an invisibility spell takes over them. And by the time they step out, there's just nothing there. From there, a couple of conversations are had amongst the other NPCs with Lucilla and Lucius talking to Vertrara about what it means for her to break curses. For those of you that would be around and listening, it would come to the conclusion that what she does, it isn't a physical burning to break this, for the sake of it, the spiritual curse. It is a 1-for-1. She would essentially burn away years of your life to remove it. With the 2 most critical patients removed of their curse, and with that being the obstacle removed that would allow Lucilla's magic to help, along with a little bit of bandits, which I'll address in a moment, they decide collectively to have the remaining members of the Bastion remain cursed for the time being. With the understanding that it will likely remove them from actively participating in missions, but at the cost of them keeping an estimated 15 to 25 years of their life. Which, for most of the Immortal Bastion, which are predominantly human, not insubstantial. Titan, you would observe that Bryka, the woman with the brain injury. The spell that Bandit cast was considerably powerful, enough that the wounds are slowly knitting themselves back together at a level that you can watch. But it is being done so at such a meticulous level, it does not have the drawbacks of more basic healing magic that would oftentimes leave either scar tissue or cause cell, malformations.
Titan can appreciate a master's work.
At the end of it all, again, covered in sweat, needing help to stand up, Bandit just goes, "Just don't ask me to do it again anytime soon. The amount of requests I have remaining for my life are few and far apart. But I am happy to help."
I'm glad to hear it. I did what I could for her, but she was not going to be the same afterwards.
Oh, that kind of damage is often something people like you or I can't help with. But that is where being able to humble yourself and ask of a being greater than either us to intervene is the better option.
Titan nods. I'm just glad the gods hear your prayers. It seems of late they don't hear many of mine.
Hmm. And for some, it is just an echo of something old. He gives you a smile, but it's a little sad.
Titan nods. I can understand. I was still young when everything changed. I can't imagine the loss it must have felt for people who were, actively involved.
Hmm. As someone whose life was predominantly spent under the care and watchful eye of the hunters, when everything changed, it wasn't dramatic. It was just quiet. And for some, it was enough for them to lose their faith. But let us not dwell on the past. Let us be grateful for the futures that we have saved.
I can agree to that.
Should you find yourself free at some point, Titan, come by and we can share a drink. A habit after saving a life.
Titan nods. I have a similar habit.
He gives you a gentle smile and a pat on the shoulder. I'm going to linger around this camp for a time being, just in case. But come evening, I will likely return to my camp should nothing change.
All right, sounds good.
Good work, Titan.
Titan smiles. Thank you. Good work to you as well, Bandit. As I've said, it's fun watching a master work.
You flatter me so. He gives you another couple pats, but then will slowly make his way to the orphan refuge's cleric tent to go speak to one of the leaders, just to sort of convey everything that's going on.
give everyone a once over. It'll probably take a little while, and
Mhm.
leave instructions that if there are changes or the need, that they can come get him at his tent.
Okay. Yeah, it's just real quick, kind of checkbox everybody else. Corona, what's she up to?
I feel like once the situation has been stabilized, there really is not much that she can do. I think, as far as like helping with this actively, that is.
Mhm.
I think um, she'd probably let the group know, anyone that's kind of like immediately in the area at like a given point. Actually no, because people are people got their plans. I think she would probably just go back briefly to the tents where all the civilians are. Let her mom and pop know what's going on. Just so that they're up to date. Her dad probably is, but you know, just for the sake of everything.
Yeah,
and,
you gotta bring the gossip back. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at that point she probably she's a little worried, and she's the type to probably linger on this mentally if she just does nothing. Like the whole situation. So I think to get her mind off of things, because she probably had to come back running from the firing range. She's probably gonna go back, depending on what time it is, really. She'll
About
go back to the
4:30.
firing range. 4:30.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, she'll she'll drop by. She'll actually drop by the tavern. Maybe grab a bite to eat. Maybe to go if they do that.
They do.
And okay, perfect. Yeah, she'll grab a bite, and she'll go to the firing range and just kind of spend not the entire evening, but at least a couple hours there. If Vanya's there, she'll share the food a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Vanya
she's-
will be there and will likewise participate. She also has a small cask of beer.
Oh, nice. Okay. And yeah, I mean, basically the long and short of it, I don't know if we want to make this the whole scene, but the long and short of it is that she wants to go to the firing range. She'll catch Vanya up on what's happening and why she had to run off all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
just in case she doesn't know. And yeah, she'll just hang out there for a couple of hours. She'll fill her in on what happened in the mission and the kind of things that we fought and what that scrap was from, etc.
Right.
etc.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. I mean, good to know. Yeah, let's just quickly figure out where everyone else is at, and we'll settle everything. So, Melody, what about you? What's Melody doing?
Yeah, he said it's about 4:30.
It is about
So,
4:30.
Audie will probably take the opportunity to also get food, but take it back to Greenwood. Or
Yeah.
Greenwood to the camp.
Yeah, one and the same at this point.
Yeah, and you know, if she were to run into Lilith or Roz, it would be like, oh, I just have to take this back for my family, you know, because she's got siblings in that if they question it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think on her, let me double check my notes because I did point out things that I wanted to do. Yeah, okay. Then the only other thing that she would be doing, because she does have a performance later tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, she would be looking to see if she can spy Viren anywhere. She hasn't forgotten her promise.
Sure. While you're out and about, getting food and taking you back to the camp, just make a perception check.
All right.
We'll see what you can see.
Calendar's in my way. Okay. least she's pretty.
Mhm.
That's a 5.
You, unfortunately, during your time back and forth, don't smart Theron.
Okay. And is that the full, like, 4 hours?
Um,
Because her performance isn't till, what, 9, 10?
yeah, but I was assuming you were also going to then go be a third wheel.
No.
Oh.
Unless you want me to do an insight check.
Well, let's see. I didn't know if Audie was actually clued in or not, so.
I don't know. Because she was the one that asked me, like, yeah, is this just for Roz? Is it a date kind of
Mhm.
thing? But Lilith is awkward and couldn't actually answer that.
I know, so that's why I was assuming you were going.
Sure. For the sake of it, can I roll some insight? Just to see
If you like.
how clueless she may or may not be. Yeah, okay, that's a 13.
This is ultimately a kind of a coin flip. It's up to you.
How mischievous is Audie feeling? Hmm. She's gonna go and probably blend in at the bar for a bit. See if she can kind of hide amongst the patrons to see how it goes first, and then if it looks like she needs to join, she'll join.
Gotcha. You're gonna sit at the bar with like a with like a bucket hat on and a mustache and a pair of glasses.
Absolutely.
Nice. Sure. So I mean, yeah. So for the earlier part where you're running around, you don't spot Varen at all. You're going to go sit there at the bar and eavesdrop over Lilith and Roz's date not date. And then we'll talk about it a little bit after. Which means after that, Lilith. What about you? What are you doing?
I think she's just going back to camp for like an hour, killing some time, just organizing her things, and then making her way over to the Dusty Daisy.
Okay. I am going to have to stop you because there's a certain voice in your head that is going to insist you clean up a little and definitely apply some makeup.
I did bathe earlier, but yeah, no, you're right. I should put on some makeup.
You can look better than this. I've seen you do it.
Right, I'm getting the makeup out.
And you should for your meeting with Roz.
Speaking of, I need to buy more eyeliner. She keeps stealing all of it.
Yes, that is a problem. You should probably buy 2 next time and keep one in the obvious place so she can keep thinking she's stealing it and then have another one for yourself.
You're right. She wouldn't enjoy it as much if I just gave her some.
It's true. Yeah. It's more for her than it is for you.
So she will put on some makeup and brush her hair again and then go to the tavern.
Mm-hmm. Much better. Thank you, dear. Okay. Then, Roz.
Before Roz goes to the Dusty Daisy to have her date
Mm-hmm.
and waste a little time beforehand, she does want to talk to Lucilla and Lucius to
Mm-hmm.
just see how they're doing, how they're feeling after all of this.
Yeah, simple enough to do. Most of the members of the Bastion are fine enough now. Again, the ones that had superficial wounds or like minor breaks or mostly just like bruises, things that need to just have a little bit of time to heal up, are doing fine. The 2 in critical condition are stable now, and so they're just kind of lingering to make sure nothing changes. And so they're still in that one tent off to the side where they're all gathered together. But I mean, yeah, Lucilla's sitting in a chair next to a cot. Her brother's next to her. You can tell they're just sort of politely talking amongst themselves. It's very easy to insinuate yourself because Lucilla will just invite you over.
Well, you too. How are you doing after all of that?
I think my nerves are shot for today. And Lucilla just kind of raises up her hands and you see them shaking a little. Needless to say, I'm at least grateful that everything has worked out more or less. At least we managed to close the portal. Would have been awful if this was for naught.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, is there anything else I can do to help out or make you feel more comfortable or anything at all?
The siblings exchange a look between themselves, very pointed. It's easy to see. And then Lucius looks back up to meet your gaze. When you have a moment, a couple of hours, come to our camp. Lucilla and I have a story to share with you.
All right. I've got a prior obligation for tonight, but when I can, I will.
Lucille just looks up at you and gives you a smile. Not quite as luminous as normal, but you can tell it's one that's still filled with appreciation.
And don't worry about it. Wouldn't be a proper hero if I saw a damsel in distress and didn't try to save her, would I? Give a little wink.
I'm still going to bake you a cake.
Okay. Is that a threat? I like the cake.
I don't do threats, that's more his thing. I'm going to bake you a cake.
That does feel a little more threatening.
We know our lanes and we stay in them.
Right, well, I'll come back when I can to hear you out, alright? I've got a dinner to get because I haven't eaten all damn day.
You sort of say that, and I think there's like a resounding stomach grumble from everybody in the room.
And you should also eat.
Yeah, we should. We should have that taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Enjoy your dinner, Raz.
That I will.
Say hi to Lilith for me.
You knew it was going to be a dinner with Lilith?
Well, you guys kind of kept sharing whispers between, like, running around. I just kind of guessed.
I thought we were being so subtle about it.
I got lucky, and you just kind of confirmed it. That's all.
Well, anyway, I'm going to my dinner with Lilith then.
Enjoy.
Bye. Go off.
Mm-hmm. Gonna go get your meal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Titan, can you do me a favor? What is Titan up to? I know he's sticking around, keeping an eye on things for a little bit. Anything else for the remainder of the evening?
Not until nighttime.
Okay.
We'll just be doing stuff with Lotus and hanging around with the villagers, taking care of some things. It's not anything that needs to be role played.
Okay. Alrighty then. We'll revisit you when time has passed a bit.
Okay.
In which case, I feel like there's a good little intersection that's going to be happening at the tavern. So Roz and Lilith, you both had their respective times. Lilith, you find a table, one of the smaller tables on the inside, with a reserved sign on it that has your name scrawled across it. There is currently a tin bucket there filled with ice, with a bottle of elven white wine and 2 glasses.
She will take a seat and just kind of smile to herself, looking around the atmosphere of the tavern.
It's always as busy. A lot of people here. You can catch the occasional whisper of people talking about the Bastion in their march in the camp and the subsequent ruckus. But several other people just kind of blissfully unaware, talking amongst themselves, talking about the places where they left, things they miss from home. There's a 4-piece band on stage currently playing. The music is a little jaunty, but not overly excited. Let me just appropriately switch to slightly jaunty. And you wait. And before long, Roz arrives.
Hi. You're looking real nice.
Thank you.
Ice, a bucket, and a bottle of wine, reserve table. How much did you pay for this?
Not too much.
All right, well, what we having?
I asked them to prepare a bunch of different traditional meals from Saphinus. Just like a platter of different things to try.
All right. Kind of excited then. Haven't eaten all day. Pardon me if I inhale, it's like a snake.
Yeah, when I asked you if you wanted to go get dinner, I wasn't expecting all of that to happen.
Neither was I, but I'm still happy to be here.
Same. How are they doing? I heard that everything seemed to have been worked out, at least for the most part.
Nerves completely shot, but they're gonna bake us a cake.
I don't feel like I did anything to deserve a cake, but
All right, well, I was threatened with a cake, so
well, all right then. Uh, she'll grab the bottle of wine and open it.
Mm-hmm.
Pour each of them a glass.
It's light, crisp, great for a steamy evening such as this.
yeah, and the whole glass is already gone.
Real smooth going down. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Might want to pace yourself, considering you haven't eaten anything today.
No. No, I needed that.
So, other than the excitement of today, how are you doing? Been
Not,
through a lot.
not so bad. Funny thing, no, when I was seeing the Bastion just before coming here, apparently we're so unsubtle that even Lucilla, who I've managed to successfully lie to before, picked up on the fact that I was coming to dinner with you. So,
Well, clearly that was your fault. I am a master of being subtle.
gonna look around the crowded tavern real quick, then back at what's happening here. Of course you are, darling.
Kicks your foot. Was did you bump into Audie at all?
No. Shouldn't she be here?
Yeah. Great,
Said
great question.
I mean, she said she was coming, right? I don't see her.
Yeah, you specifically invited her.
Yeah, Audie. Are you at the bar?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Are you in fact in disguise, or did you just kind of show up as Audie?
She's pretty much just shown up as Audie, but being that she might be a little smaller than patrons, she might be like dodging, trying to dodge some perception, you know?
So you're hopping from stool to stool.
In the least obvious way possible.
Okay, make a stealth check. You too. You can make perception checks if you're so inclined.
Wow, I actually got a dirty 20.
13.
What is my stealth? That's a 16. Right in the middle.
Well, you all have your numbers.
Roz is going to look directly at Audie. Kind of tilt her head a little bit.
And you would get the smirk that Roz is so very familiar with from Audie, like she's up to something. Or rather, she's doing this on purpose.
You know, for whatever reason, Lilith, I get the idea that Audie doesn't want to be over here because she's got mischief on her brain.
Like, glances around, doesn't see Audie. I mean, you know her better than I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know her very well. Know all of her tricks.
Doesn't stop them from working on you.
Shut up!
I guess if she's not joining, we can just start the meal then.
I'd love to.
She will wave over to
Mm-hmm.
the bar.
Yeah. Someone at the bar is watching. You get a wave and a nod back. And it isn't before long that the first course is brought up. You're presented with a long rectangular tray that is filled with several small pastries that look like they're made of like thin pastry filled with something and then fried and then coated in powdered sugar. Essentially, these are wontons filled with different fruit jams that have then been fried and dusted.
They're devoured so fast. Ross loves these sweets.
And a good mixture of fruits representative of the more tropical nature of Saphinus. Mangoes and pineapples and dragon fruit and et cetera, et cetera.
Being familiar with this kind of cuisine, Lilith is telling Roz what she's eating as she's, filling her mouth.
Roz has to slow down for you to be able to explain it fast enough for her to not choke one down and then go to the next.
Okay. Yeah, you get those. There's about 40 of them between the two of you. They're small. They're like I don't have a great reference. Ping pong ball sized.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith eats 5 and Roz eats 35.
But by the time you got a
No.
chance, yes. Before you know it, they're just gone.
This is what Saphinus cooking is like all the time.
These are pretty popular treat, yeah.
It's delicious. This is way better than mushrooms.
Yeah. You really chose a bad town to grow up in if you didn't like mushrooms.
First of all, I didn't ask to be born. Secondly, mushrooms taste like dirt.
Well, from all the stories I've heard, you're pretty used to tasting dirt.
You know what? You bought me dinner? You get one. You get that one for free.
I'll take it. I thought it was clever.
It was clever.
The next course is brought out. A bowl soup for the two of you. It's got a bright yellow color filled with a bunch of chunky pieces of vegetable, celery, potatoes, okra. You can smell that there's ginger and thyme, and with a bit of a taste, you can tell it's got a little bit of a background, kind of floral bit of spices between some coriander and some allspice. And it's got a bit of a creamier texture, which is given to it by its coconut milk, which is then kind of tapered back by the acidic tang of some lime juice.
This goes down much slower, partially because it's soup, and partially because Roz was not aware there would be a second course. So she's a little bit more full now.
Did you think I invited you out to dinner just to have sweets?
Could have. I'd have been extremely happy with just sweets.
See, I didn't expect them to make so many. We're gonna have to bring the rest back to people in Greenwood.
Well, they made enough for 3 people.
I don't think that's the case because there's only 2 wine glasses.
Roz only has just now noticed that fact. Huh. Do they know something we don't?
Maybe. Why worry about it? Let's just have a good time.
All right. Well, I am having a nice time. For the record, this is way better than my days gone so far.
Here's to better days ahead.
Aye, and here. Another glass of wine.
Somewhere behind the bar, Valman is elbowing Daisy, the owner of the bar, in her shins, going, "See, I told you only 2 of them are going to show up."
Bastard.
I see Valman is also not observant.
Only 2 people showed up to the table.
That's true.
Yeah, he knew which 2 were going to show up.
Valman did 2 things: sell drinks and love the tea.
Right, well, is there another course that I should be prepared for?
2 plates are dropped off in front of you as the bowls are taken up.
Oh boy.
There are 2 fillets of white, flaky fish in front of you on a bed of fluffy white rice dressed with diced herbs and decorated with toasted coconut.
Roz is so full now, but she still has to eat, so she eats only a little bit of the rice and everything else on the plate.
It's good. Very fish forward. Everything else kind of accentuates it.
So, is dinner the plan for the night, or did you have something else in mind after?
Thought we could just hang out, you know?
All right, I'm happy to. Unless you're nervous that people are going to look at us.
Look, I'm the one who invited you here, so I don't think you get to make that joke.
Wow, all right. I am also not the one who invited Audie.
Okay, but you also can't contain Audie or deal with her. She's an enigma.
I happen to be perfectly good at dealing with Melody Albrecht. Pointed stare.
What's Melody doing?
I think at some point, Audie would take the opportunity to sneak out, but she would be trying to escape Roz noticing her. Because she's worried that if she leaves and Roz is still pointedly staring at her at any point, she'll drag her over. So she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just biding my time for the right moment.
Yep. She's sitting at the bar whistling mischievously.
Roz will look away. Eventually. What are you up to over there?
Like I said, given the chance, Audie will take the opportunity to slip out.
Fair enough. Just in time for dessert to arrive.
Oh, there's more.
It is a small ring molded cake that appears to be soaked in a sticky syrup of some kind. There's a undertone of coconut and rum that wafts off of this otherwise very dense cake.
It's a labor at this point to get more food down, but by God, we're gonna get it down. I shouldn't have eaten 3 dozen of those little ones at the very beginning of this. I thought it was not going to be as big of a meal.
Sorry, I probably should have warned you.
It's all right that you didn't. They were delicious. I am so full now.
Well, I mean, a good meal is always great after a long mission.
Softness cooking is great, apparently. I can't believe you never shared it with me before.
Well, I'm not really much of a chef, and getting the ingredients in Greenwood would be a bit difficult.
Fair enough, I guess. Well, what now?
We can take this bottle of wine, go stargazing. I don't know. Anything really?
Yeah, I'd like that a lot. I've got some obligations that can wait till tomorrow.
Great. And hey, Roz, I know you've been going through a lot lately, and I know you know this, but if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. Okay?
Yeah, I know that. You can talk to me too.
I know.
Right, well, let's not get too mushy in public, alright? I'm gonna get loud accidentally.
Threaten me like that, and you won't get any more wine tonight. She grabs the bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
She'll leave another silver on the table as just a tip,
Mm-hmm.
since they made so much food.
Mm-hmm. They seem to have a chef that is a fan of Sapphinus cooking.
So I guess they, leave the camp to go stargaze?
Yeah.
Okay. Audie, you were scurrying off to probably go prepare for your show, I take it?
Really depends on how long it took for her to escape, actually. Based on timing and when dinner was and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, from start to finish for them, I'm assuming they're probably there for like an hour to 90 minutes.
Okay. She's gonna do kind of one last trace through camp for Varen. And if she doesn't find him at all, she's going to go and look in on Jace. Because she figures if one of them is very elusive, the other one is at least injured and probably not going far.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You can make another perception check as you're, again, scuttlebutting around.
Perception. That's modified 20.
It's pretty good. Unfortunately, though, it seems as if Viren doesn't want to be found. Which is now with your check, you're able to confirm that it wasn't just the camp is busy, you're preoccupied with thoughts. Now that you've gone, all right, I have a little bit of time, let me actively really look for him, that you find you just can't find him anywhere. He's not in any of the places you expect him to be, and he's not in any of the places that are sort of transitory to all the places you're going. You don't see him anywhere.
All right. Then in that case, she's gonna go to Jace.
Okay. Yeah. He's back in the orphans refuge camp because he's recovering.
All right. Yeah, then she'll go in and like would he be under bed rest or just
Yeah.
around the camp?
No, he's on bed rest. He's currently propped up in a cot reading a book.
Okay. Yeah, then she would go to him and, knock on the post of the tent or
Mhm.
basically announce herself without just barging in.
Melody, it's good to see you. How you doing?
I mean, I'm just faring a bit better than you. I surviving too, so I guess we're both equal in that regards.
Hmm.
How you feeling?
A leg is a bit stiff, and a bit itchy, but what are you gonna do? And they said I should be able to walk on in another week or two.
You seem like you're in good spirits.
Oh, this isn't the first time I've been wounded fighting and then have had to take bed rest for a few weeks. Honestly, back before I joined up at Greenwood when I was still an active merc, I had a thing that put me up for like 2 months. Just this awful, awful thing that ran up from my hip all the way to my back shoulder. Just terrible. Took me a while to recover. Anyway, there's a whole story behind it. So this is normal. I'm used to it.
Then I do come with a question for a bit of gossip, if you're alright, Dad.
I'm not usually one to participate in gossip, but I've been stuck here for a little while, so lay it on me.
It's about Varen.
Okay.
He's seemed a bit darker since he got back. And I haven't been able to find him anywhere. He seems to be quite scarce. I don't know if he's always on missions or just hiding. Doesn't never seem to kind of hide though.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he's taken the loss of Greenwood pretty hard. I think harder than a lot of others. When we went on the Saberwolves mission, it was all business. I was honestly a little worried that he might be a hindrance since he didn't have a background in that kind of work, but he did well in it. serious, listened well, adapted well. But I could see him taking a turn. I mean, I haven't really had a chance to converse with him very often. I'm, stuck here. But I know he mentioned that he'd end up going on more missions.
I thought he would have come to check on you.
I mean, no more than anyone else from Greenwood, but I know he's busy. And it's not like we, often ran in the same circles, even when we were back in town. We were just
He only has one circle. We all know that.
Well,
it's a bit small.
Yeah. But the point is, we were co-workers and really nothing else. I wouldn't expect him to visit me all that often. I think he checked in on me once a couple days after I got the wound, just to make sure I wasn't, dying of an infection. And then once he was happy with that, I haven't seen him since.
Right. And his kids seem to be doing well. They've been taking jobs around camp.
Yeah. One's working at the Daisy, right? He brings me food occasionally.
Yeah, Klein.
Hmm.
Yeah. He doesn't like our nickname too much. I don't know if you escaped that one or not.
The Greenies? Yeah. No, not attached to me. Unfortunately, I've only gotten one mission under my belt, and then here I am. So I think I barely qualify.
The portal's closed now.
Sorry, what was that?
The portal. Did you inside the wolf den? The problem there made them all a little violent.
Oh, there was a portal. I didn't know.
Yeah, to the mark.
That's bad news. But good news, it's closed now.
Yeah, the Immortal Bastion came back today.
Oh,
World of Hurt.
I'm about to say, yeah, all that noise earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone alive?
One's missing, but the rest are alive. Cursed, but managed to get half of them uncursed, so faring better than not.
Better than dead, I guess.
That's what they say.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the visit. Is there anything else I can do for you? I mean, not a whole lot I can do from here.
That's fine. I thought I'd bring you some good news. Like I said, I'm a bit worried about Varen. Seems to be a bit scarce, so might have to make a scene the next time I see him, so he doesn't slip out again.
Yeah. I mean, if I see Klein, I'll ask him. Tell him you're looking for him.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be going to the Daisy a bit later. I might see him to myself. It's a good thought.
All right.
Thought I'd have a good night then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You too, Melody. Be good.
And she just kind of gives a grin and skips out. And and then now she would go and get ready to perform.
Okay. Do you have any precursor to your performance? Any notes? Or is it just another night from the Black Butterfly?
Yeah, it's just going to be another night. I haven't prepared anything.
Oh, for, no, I wasn't.
The performance.
I wasn't expecting like an actual performance. I mean, like any notes about the Black Butterfly's performance, even if it's just like a particular theme she's singing about or anything.
No, I think the as was noted, it was absent from her first set. She probably still won't sing her signature song, but she'll probably do one or two rousing tunes and then still probably end off on a bit of a sweeter, somber note. Just not her usual from Greenwood.
Okay.
Yeah, if she had to push a feeling, it would be, celebration, but then the feeling of kind of the sense of, hold the ones you love close in case you lose them kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to roll a performance check for me?
Sure. We're gonna use some inspiration on that.
Sure.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's
Ye-
not good enough for me.
Use it up.
That's a bit better. That's a performance of 23.
It's pretty good.
The first one was an 11.
Not as good as the 23. Do me a favor and roll a percentile die.
96.
Very nice. You're going. Do me a favor. Roll a second percentile die.
45.
Okay. Your tips for the evening are 96 silver and 45 bits.
All right.
Yeah, the black butterfly is gaining a small following. Of which, notably, amongst them, a certain heavy-set, thick-bearded Florin man, dressed extremely nicely, flanked by a black dragon eye and black scale armor, who seems to be at every one of your shows. Any notes for post-show Melody? Where she's running off to or anything for the evening?
I think she would probably take an opportunity to maybe go sit by the river by Grinwood just to have some kind of peace and quiet to herself before catching some sleep.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's been a very busy day.
It has been. In which case, we're going to cut over to Corona, who made her way over to the shooting range, brought some food along, to which Vanya matches it with a small cask of beer, enough for probably like 6 to 8 mugs.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and she's there with one of the gnomish revolvers that you brought back. One of the gnomish hand cannons. Which she's like, well, honestly, I just wanted to give it a go and see what this thing can do, so I can better understand it. Because I feel like I have an idea for it, but not until I've gotten a better feel for it, you know.
I mean, go nuts. All I knew how to do with it was shoot and reload it, but I mean, those little guys really know how to pack a lot into their weapons. Kind of scary.
Well, I mean, it is a fair bit more complicated than a lot of other things. So it's one of those, if something awful would have happened to it and were to break in the field, you probably couldn't do a damn thing about it, and it would just be a useless hunk of metal. Versus like the gun I made for you, you could probably, if someone were skilled enough with metalworking or woodworking, whatever was necessary, could probably craft a fix in the field as necessary. Or it could have easily interchangeable parts that you could just carry on you. These things, like I said, a bit more complicated, but in exchange for some utilities, such as being able to, and she'll flip out a central part of the pistol. So if you see here, it's got 4 different channels. There's a switch on the side there. If you turn the switch, it changes the magical property of the bullets that it fires, and so that way it can deal different types of elemental damages, which, frankly, is pretty damn cool.
That could be pretty handy. I mean, that's not to say that the gun you gave me isn't impressive in its own right. I'm surprised it survived the weather. It really wasn't kind to us.
Well, I mean, that's because the properties are a bit more advanced than what firearms used to be a couple decades ago. I mean, everything's now kind of encapsulated, right? The shells I made for you, everything is packed within its own tidy little package. And even if they got wet,
Yeah.
they are still going to work all the same as long as you load them into the gun properly.
Yeah, can't have seen otherwise happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Been reliable.
That's the goal. She holds up the pistol and kind of twirls it on a finger. The gnomes are inventive, and they definitely do things that a lot of other people won't. But sometimes you just need something that's good and reliable. And she'll point at the shotgun she made for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes simple's just better.
I'd say most of the time, if you ask me. But not to
Anyway,
say that. Yeah, go ahead.
no, catch me up on everything. I haven't left this damn camp in so long. I'm starting to go stir crazy. What's been happening?
Well, a lot. Though it's not really uh exciting stuff. And she'll kind of, she'll catch her up on what we've been up to, even as far back as the first adventure we set out to, in the like little forested area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll hit her with the previously on.
Exactly. Yeah. And up until what's been recent, and she'll say, but yeah, we ain't heard anything about bandits. Not that we've been looking for them. I don't suppose that there's been any news on what that whole bandit get together was about, has there?
Nah, not that I've heard of, but like I said, I've been shacked up here, just working away on on projects at the forge, helping around with some armor and weapon repairs because the guys here have been really nice. I haven't heard a damn thing, but man, am I itching to know. That could change a whole lot of things up north. I mean, for both my interests and a lot of the people's interests here.
You did mention it to someone, right? Like Covert?
Yeah,
Because they could probably get eyes out there.
yeah. I mean, I gave the elf a rundown when I came in, but I mean, he said he took into account and that he'd send people out when there were people available or interested. Can't force people to go there if they don't want to.
No. As long as you know. I know we kind of, dropped you off here without filling you in too much, but I mean, it looks like you've been doing just fine.
Well, I mean, I know how to keep myself busy, and I'm within the confines of a safe camp, so it's not like I have to, sleep with my eyes open with a loaded gun in my hand right now. So I can just work away pretty comfortably.
Not like before, yeah. You can take care of yourself.
Yeah,
I know that much.
And I'm starting to reach a point where I feel like if I don't get a purpose here, I'm gonna have to find one somewhere else. Like I'm gonna have to go back out to the Badlands and start hunting again.
Right. Well, no one's gonna stop you, but it'd be a damn shame to see you go. But it's not to say that you probably wouldn't be welcome back here. I mean, I'm sure some people know you.
Well, I
You
mean,
haven't caused any trouble.
I've made a couple of friends. There's one elven smith who just has an opinion about everything I do, but
Oh, the one you were smack talking
yeah,
back and forth with?
yeah, that one. Yeah, hard to forget him, right?
Yeah.
Face only a mother could love. Yeah, that one. Despite his mouth, he's still not bad at it, smithing. So yeah, like I said, I've made friends, but I just gotta. I make things, but I also like seeing those things used, and I haven't had a chance to really test a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, there's only so much you could do at a fire range like this.
Well, and only inevitably so much ammunition too. It's all right to make sure things are functioning, but I can't do it as a hobby right now.
Have you thought about maybe putting a word out for, for you to look to have people look for scraps so you can make items for them. I can't be the only one interested in firearms.
I mean, there's a big old damn list for craftsmen from people who need stuff made. But I'm not exactly super willing to just start making guns for a bunch of other people. You know, a lot of the principles that I applied to the weapon I made for you, as simple as it might be, came from the foundry that is now dead and gone, but the place I used to work for. I'm still kind of holding on to it. I don't really just want to, make them and spread them out. Maybe someone goes somewhere, fights somewhere on a battlefront, and suddenly that weapon ends up in the hands of, the enemy side. I don't want it killing people over here. And I know it's just kind of the way of things. I'm not quite comfortable with it yet.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't know that you, you obviously take your work seriously. I wasn't aware that that's how you felt about it, but it's respectable. I mean, if I could do something like what you do, I'd probably feel the same way. The best I can do is, leather working. Nothing special.
Perfectly respectable trade. I was just raised in the forge, so this is what I know. Must be the same for you. There ain't nothing wrong or better about it. The world needs all these things to keep everything held together.
Yeah. And I mean, even I felt the need of wanting to make sure that the things that I do make, as little as they are, or as few, I should say, that they go to the right people. Not like I have to worry about a pair of boots going to the enemy side and wreaking havoc, but I mean,
could you imagine?
I don't even know what I'd have to do to make them that deadly.
I'm sure there's a wizard somewhere that would enchant a pair of boots that turn them into, like, alligators when they're taken away from their host. I'm sure you could do it.
I'd have to find a wizard twisted enough to want to do that.
Yeah, just go talk to that elf. I'm sure he's willing to participate in doing something, making sure that the enemy doesn't get any of these boots. It's important.
Cordell, take a swig of the ale with a smile and say, I might have to think about that. But she gets a laugh out of that chuckle.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of what she might say in response to that. Might be a good spot to just kind of like,
just let it go.
Fade away. Yeah.
Okay. And then last but not least, much of the day is progressing. Hard earned and probably exhausted after a good bit of medical work he was maybe not prepared for on this particular given day. What does Titan's night look like?
Like I said, for the first little bit of it, he's just going to be trying to help people of Greenwood out. But as it gets later and people are starting to go to bed, he's going to seek out the rest of his group here. I don't know who's closest by. Probably Audie, who said Audie was going down by the river, which is close to where Titan's tent is.
Mm-hmm. Down by the river.
And he'll see Audie there, doing whatever she's doing, I think.
Yeah, what is Audie doing down by the river?
She's probably just looking at the stars.
Skipping stones?
No, probably not making much noise. Just being quiet for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was a very busy day.
Mm-hmm.
And Titan will walk up and good evening, Audie. How's it going, kid?
Later, Titan. Not too bad. A bit tired, but I'm sure not as tired as you.
Well, it was a big day. But if I'm honest, I miss it.
It was fun when I was in school, and we did operations like this regularly. Well, I hate to bother you, kid, but I need some help with a project tonight. You available?
Certainly can be. We're at rest for the next couple of days, right?
Yeah, we're at rest for a couple of days.
Oh, then I can catch up on sleep later. Much needed.
Well, first, I think you might want to get the others as well. If you know where Roz and Lilith are, I'll go and see if I can find Corona.
Yeah, see if I can find them. I might have an idea or two. They were at Daisy a bit earlier, but I haven't seen them since then.
Alright, well, if you can't find them, we'll go looking.
Alright, where should I meet you?
At my tent, if you don't mind.
Right then. See you in a few. And yeah, Audie will get up and kind of dust herself off and go looking
Mm-hmm.
for Roz and Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
Titan will go seeking Corona.
Okay. Super simple question for the three being pursued. Are any of you trying to make yourselves scarce?
Nope.
I think Lilith and Roz made a good bit of distance away from the camp. So they might be a little hard to find. Not terribly.
Audie, you were the one going after Roz and Lilith?
Yeah, she would probably start like checking around the Greenwood camp, checking tents and kind of asking around if anybody that's still awake if they've seen him.
I mean, asking around confirms that they are not in the camp.
Yeah, and I don't think she'd venture too far. Like she might venture into the busier parts of town, but she wouldn't venture out of camp because there's there's a lot of space where there's no one kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she'd maybe 100, 200 feet from camp, but not too far.
Well, Audie, you can make a survival check to try to track them down if you're so inclined.
Okay. That's a 6.
Roz and Lilith have made themselves scarce. There's enough word of mouth that people are like, oh yeah, we saw them walking around earlier. Oh, we think we saw them drinking at the Daisy. But you really don't know where they ended up after that.
Yeah, and kind of at some point after doing a few laps of the camp, maybe like not of the whole camp, but the general Greenwood area, she just kind of puts her fists on her hips and goes, well, I guess I deserve this one. Kind of did it to myself. And yeah, and then I think she would go to Titan's to Titan's tent and just be like, I couldn't find them.
Yeah, Titan will go and see if he can find Corona.
Like I said, yeah, Zhao's not making Corona scarce. So
No.
if you walk around for 10 to 15 minutes, you can locate Corona without any issue.
Probably hear some gunshots in the
Mm-hmm.
distance.
Especially.
Yeah, then Titan will head to Corona. Hey, Corona, how's it going?
Oh, Titan. Not too bad. Just doing some practice firing. You need me for something?
Yeah, I need a hand with a project I'm working on. It's something Lotus just can't do,
Say no more. It's about time that I head back anyway. she'll kind of give a nod to Vanya
Mm-hmm.
and just see you later, and then grab her stuff, um, and in a few minutes be ready to head off back with Titan.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Meet up with Audie. Were you able to find him, kid?
Not either here. I'm not sure where they went. Last anybody saw them, they're at today's inn, and they left today's inn, and we don't know. They're not in their tents. Not around the camp. I didn't venture to like the merchants area, but no one said we'll go that way anyway.
You're looking for Lilith and Roswin, I take it?
Yeah, it's a big project.
That
The
sounds
more
like it.
hands, the easier the work.
Don't know where they might have headed off to, honestly. You want me to put a word out and ask Covert to keep an eye out?
If there's somebody available who can find them, then yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I can do that and then catch up with you, I assume, at your tent?
Yeah, right here.
All right. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Kuroda's gonna, jog on over to Covert. And, yeah, basically just ask him to keep an eye out for the two of them. And if he sees them, to send him over Titan's way.
Yeah, Covert's like, again, he's at his desk as he always is, but he has like stacks upon stacks of very thick tomes on his desk, like he's currently researching something. But he'll stop and get up and do like one of those long over the head arm stretches. Yeah, all right. I mean, I saw them head up past the Seductress earlier, probably just around sunset. I mean, I could probably go find him for you if you want. I could stand and stretch my legs.
If that's up to you. I don't want to take you away from your work, but if you need to stretch, want to keep yourself busy, it sounds important. It's for the doc.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Titan's done good enough work today. Finding other people to help him do stuff seems reasonable. Yeah, I'll stop muttering and I'll go find them. Just
right, much appreciated.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes. I'm sure I'll stumble into them.
Sounds good. You want me to stay by here in case? I mean, you don't got people messing with your stuff, do you?
No, don't worry about it. People couldn't if they wanted to.
All right. Well, thanks, Covert.
Mm-hmm. Now, where could those two have gone? And do you head back to the Greenwood camp, Corona?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Covert has a moment where he steps off his desk. He considers something for a brief moment, and then he begins casting a spell. His eyes flash with arcane energy, but no obvious effect otherwise for him. Then he begins walking northward. It's about 10 or so minutes. Wherever Roz or Lilith are, as well out of the way of camp as they are, eventually, after some time, you're going to hear a voice kind of call from the distance. Roswin? Lilith? I'm told you're needed back at the camp. Titan has something for you to do. You don't need to say anything. I'm just letting you know.
We'll be there when we can. Just give us a bit.
I'm not even there anymore.
Depending on how long it's been since they finished their dinner, they may or may not need to put their clothes back on, then go to
Mhm.
camp.
About 2 hours.
They need to put their clothes back on, then go to camp.
Mm. Yeah, it's really muggy, all right, right? It's crazy. Can't keep cool for nothing.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
One
Anywho,
awkward walk back to camp later.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have to pass by Covert at his desk. But yeah, you walk yourself back to the Greenwood camp after stargazing for a couple of hours. Eventually getting back to Titan's tent, where Melody and Corona are waiting for you.
I heard we were needed. What's up? What's the problem?
I just need a hand with a project. There, they'll explain in my tent. Come on in.
All right.
He opens the flap up for them and walks in.
I imagine
Right.
we'd all fit in.
Yeah. Uh, well, I did say a while back that it was important that we share with each other. And this is a job that I can't do, and Lotus just doesn't have the stomach for. Can't blame her, though. And Titan kind of strips off his shirt, and you'll pretty quickly notice that a number of scales on his arms and chest, and even up into his neck, are quite a bit thicker and heavier than they were before. I've been improving myself, making myself stronger, safer, everything I can. And then after I saw what Roz went through and how she recovered, I knew deep inside I could push it further. But I can't do my back. Who's feeling like they've got steady hands?
God damn, Doc, you made me worried there for a second. Thought you'd gotten cursed too.
Nah. But you're not gonna like this part. I need one of you to skin my back, cut my scales and flesh off. I need one of
Sorry?
you.
Lotus okay with
Yes.
this?
Well, like I said, she went for a walk. It's not okay, but she understands what I'm doing.
She's aware then.
It nods. One of you needs to cut the flesh from my back. One of you needs to tend to the wound that's left. I need one of you to help with the process of thickening my scales, and I need one of you to stitch the missing flesh back on.
Well, how incredibly easy that all sounds without killing you.
Yes, well, that's why I asked for all of you. I figured 4 of you might be worth one Titan.
Boy.
I mean, I've scaled a fish before, and I've sewn a dress before, and my dad taught me how to tinker. So, which part does that sound like?
Well, I'm afraid my scales are a little different from those of fish. Descaling me is a little different. It's more akin to cutting the flesh from game that you've hunted.
Yeah, Audie will look at one of the other three. She'd be like, I've never been good with butchering, like capably butchering more so than stomach.
Well, should we draw straws then?
I mean, look, I'll do whatever, but I'm not gonna promise that I'm the best at it. All I'll say is that I'm not really queasy, so you don't have to worry about that.
Good. That'll probably be important for either the skinning or the restitching. But I recognize you're not all going to be good at this, which is why I brought this. He pulls out a thick leather strap. You're gonna have to bite down on that.
I could probably help you with that part.
Normally, I'd give myself some sedatives, but I kind of need to be awake and aware in order to properly thicken the scales. It's an intricate process.
All right.
I've heard you guys wondering and asking. The truth of your powers is that, as far as I've been reading, you've activated something commonly called the hero gene. But for me, it hasn't given me the talents and abilities it gave you. I've had to do these things myself. I added a bit to the gland that helps me breathe ice, so I could use it more frequently. I replaced my claws and some of the muscle in my hands, so that I could attack harder. And now I'm thickening my scales so that I can take bigger hits. These are the things I'm going through. These are the difficulties Lotus and I are having. These are the sacrifices I'm making for Greenwood. I hope you guys can understand that.
I understand it. I
Think
think I might have.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I might have a plan for it. But Corona, what's your thoughts first?
I was gonna say the only thing I don't understand is how the hell anyone figured all this stuff out and put it in a book. But you got my help.
Well, this has been a study and a pet project of one of the gods for a while. And some of that information leaks, I guess. I haven't gotten too far into the book.
I guess if it's from one of the gods, checks out.
All I can say is I know I can survive it. It just won't be pleasant.
If this is really what you want, I'll help. But you're certain?
Titan nods. I'm certain. Like I said, the one thing I got from what may have been my own heroic gene activation is that I know I can endure it and survive it.
All right. Before I change my mind, I'll help.
Thanks, kid. What about you, Lilith? You up for helping?
Yeah, I'll help. If we have a bit of time, I can maybe uh, tap into some skills that we're lacking.
Titan nods. Thanks, kid. I'm hoping that me doing this and being vulnerable to you guys will maybe help you start trusting each other again. Start being willing to share with each other again. I miss it, you know? We've all been through a lot, and a lot's changing. I get it.
I want to pretend like everything's normal sometimes.
Well, this is me stopping pretending everything's normal.
Titan. Is there a chair in the tent? Like, is there like a spot that Titan would be sitting or leaning or anything?
If CJ is okay with him having a chair, then yes, he would have a chair that he'd have
Not
to
a
sit
problem.
on. Then yes, Titan has a chair.
Okay.
Sits on it the cool way, so that his
Mm,
back is up
mhm.
against his chest.
Yeah.
Fellow kids.
And
Hello, fellow kids.
with with Titan's permission, Audie would probably try and like sort of start delegating. She's like, "Yeah, I'm comfortable with this. I'm confident here," kind of thing.
Titan's perfectly fine for Audis to start taking over.
She's like, "Well, Corona, I think you've done hunting. You worked on a farm. You'd be pretty good with skinning things. If you'd be okay with that."
I'm fine
And
with that.
Roz, you've tended wounds before. And Lilith, if yours are part of the end, and you could probably glean some things about sewing and stitching flesh. And then she'd sit down in front of Titan. You said that you know how to stick into scales. I don't know if that's something the rest of us can do or if something I can help out. I've learned a few things magic. But what I can do is I might be able to make the pain just hurt a little bit less. And she'd probably start singing, and like any time Titan would like try and pull away or groan or like try and scream, she'd like try and draw his attention back, basically keep him focused. And be the distraction. That's her
Yeah.
plan. People can argue.
Hugely appreciated, but Titan would also involve you in the thickening process. It requires some magic, it requires some practical stuff. He teaches you a little bit about it as he's working on it. That helps him distract himself from the pain as well, just talking. But certainly there are times where, as proficient as Corona would be, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he'll do all that. Thanks, guys. Let's get this done. He shoves the leather strap in his mouth, bites down hard.
And so the gruesome work begins. But all for the sake of Greenwood. And that's where we're going to finish for tonight.
Sorry, guys. Like I said, Titan wasn't aware there was a date going on. He might have postponed this.
Well.
Not
Interrupted
everybody could know
stargazing
about
for
it.
this?
Yeah.
and bless Audie's heart. You want us to cut you? All right, I guess so. Well, let's figure this out then. Why not?
Doctor's orders.
Your wife is okay with it? All right, sure. Why? I'm on board.
Look, we weren't planning on announcing that Lilith and Roz went to go biking.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And like I said,
And
if Titan had known, he might have changed the nights, but he didn't, so here we are.
Are you kidding? Roz didn't know it was a date until halfway through the meal.
No, Covert knows everything.
Covert knew
He does.
anyway. Why do you think he didn't just walk up on you two? He knew
Very
better.
respectful.
Yeah, it was locate creature. He took a little stroll, found you all in a very far away spot after he watched you both walk away with a bottle of wine between the two of you. He knows the signs.
Mm-hmm.
He knows better. But yeah. Stargazing and flesh ripping. It's great. Hand in hand, those two things.
New title of the session.
Oh, yeah.
We'll find out if either of them are into S&M,
True. And on that note, yeah, sometimes, making good choices, it comes with sacrifice. Yep, that's the lesson. All right, have a good night, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out, chat.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, are we going anywhere? Should I just
I
hit the
don't
button?
have anything lined up. You can hit the button.
Okay, good night, everybody. Bye.